Call the city council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Here.
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 Felder.
Here.
Hayter. Stilgrave. Mayor Clark.
We all please rise for the invocation. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our deliberations and discussions this evening, may our efforts promote the good of the residents of this city.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is the approval of the regular agenda.
Before we approve the regular agenda, Manager Robinson, I think there may be a amendment to the agenda.
Yes, Your Honor, I would like to add a public hearing on the agenda for the Downtown Commercial Rehabilitation District. It was set by the council for today at the August 19th meeting. All of the letters went out to all of the surrounding residents and affected areas. It was posted here at City Hall. It was listed in the paper. It did all the things. It just didn't make it to this form when it went out on Friday, the posting of the agenda. So I'm asking that we add the public hearing for the Downtown Commercial Rehabilitation District to the section under presentations, communications, and public hearings under the item 5466 to put a public hearing in after that item.
Oh, so with that is later in the agenda under the council action. Clerk, will this have this number or a separate number?
So presentations will be 5466 and then public hearings, and then there'll be a different number assigned to this second hearing.
The second one?
Yeah,
Okay.
later when we do the minutes, so.
But it's related to item 5465, which is under council action, the last item, correct?
Correct.
And I don't know if, I'm looking at Mr. Buds to see, obviously, make sure we have comment from our attorney as well.
Your Honor, in light of the fact that this was the subject of a prior council action to schedule this, that it was noticed both in the paper by posting at City Hall and also by sending out the mailing notices, I think it would be sufficient and appropriate that that item be added to the agenda. It was an oversight that it did get added to public hearings and is also later on under council action, so I'm comfortable with proceeding as the manager has recommended.
So I'll ask if there's any comments, questions, or concerns from council. If not, Councilwoman Vining?
Could the manager please repeat what that was, the downtown?
It's the item 5465. It's the resolution to establish a downtown commercial property rehabilitation district that we discussed 2 meetings ago on August 19th.
The idea is to have the public hearing before we have action under council action, and it's the last item listed on page 3 of the agenda. Our agenda, it's item 5465.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Hayter?
I'd like to make a motion, Your Honor.
Okay,
To accept the regular agenda with the addition of presentation and public hearing for the to establish a downtown commercial property rehabilitation district.
motion by Councilman Hayter, supported by Councilwoman Stilgrave to approve the regular agenda with the item that was discussed and added under the public hearings section. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes.
Stringham? Yes. Felder?
Yes.
Hayter? Stilgrave? Yes. Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is the consent agenda, and for item B, approval of payments, the amount should read $2,443,440.08, 2443440.08.
Thank you. Are there any items on the consent agenda that council wishes to have pulled for further discussion? Any items on the consent agenda from council to be pulled? Seeing none, are there any items on the consent agenda those present here this evening wish to have pulled for further discussion? I see a few new people. So what that means on the consent agenda, there's 5 items on the first part of the agenda, as well as the minutes and the payments. If you wish to have specific comment from council It'd now be time to ask to have it pulled to be put at the end of the meeting. Otherwise, these items get passed in a single motion. They're items that we've either discussed in the past or they fall within the ability to be on a consent agenda. I'll just ask again, any items on the consent agenda, those present here this evening, wish to have pulled for further discussion? Seeing none, Councilman Felder?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to make a motion that all items on the consent agenda be accepted, placed on file, recommendations carried out, and resolutions adopted.
Motion by Councilman Felder, supported by Councilwoman Stringham, that all items on the consent agenda be accepted, placed on file, resolutions adopted, and recommendations carried out. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes.
Stringham? Felder?
Yes.
Hayter? Stilgrave?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is under presentations, communications, and public hearings. Item 5466, CDBG Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, public hearing. And there are no comments on file in the clerk's office.
Thank you. Manager Robinson, any comments?
As part of the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, the CAPERS report, as part of our Community Development Block Grant for the 24 to 25 program year, it is required that we have, that we hold a public session for comment and a public hearing, and today would serve as that public hearing, and any input that is given is forwarded on to Department of Homeland, House HUD, and the CAPER.
Right. Yeah, not Homeland, but
Yeah.
I know. We were thinking about that conversation earlier. So at this time, I'll open the public hearing for any comments from those present regarding item 5466, the CDBG Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, CAPER, public hearing. Any comments from those present here this evening regarding this topic? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item will be assigned a number at a future date, but public hearing for the Downtown Commercial Property Rehabilitation District. And there are no comments on file in the clerk's office.
No, Manager Ramos, we talked about this at the start of the meeting. Any additional comments or related to the topic?
Well, just as an introductory purposes, obviously at the August 18th City Council meeting, we approved to set a schedule of public hearing for us to establish a commercial property rehabilitation district in our downtown. And basically that's, it falls in it underneath the Michigan's commercial property tax exemptions. And it is one more opportunity similar in a TIF district to like the other TIF districts we have to be able to find a defined area within our downtown that can be considered a commercial property rehabilitation district, which allows opportunities for the building owners or those property owners to be able to take advantage of certain tax credits in order to do usually large-scale or large investment property rehabilitation on their buildings. And that's what the public hearing will be on today, as well as there is the later agenda where there will be the second reading of this, and there will be, obviously, we're seeking your approval to move forward.
Very good, thank you. So at this time, I'll open the public hearing related to the Downtown Commercial Property Rehabilitation District, as was explained. Any comments from those present here this evening? Any public comments regarding the Downtown Commercial Property Rehabilitation District? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is under council action, item 5459, proposed resolution for the Sister Servants of the Immaculate Heart of Mary.
Robinson?
Yes, Your Honor, we've received a request from the Sister Servants of the Immaculate Heart of Mary seeking a resolution supporting their efforts to commemorate their 180th anniversary and Founder Day celebration. We have prepared a resolution seeking your support. It is important to mark that they do have two banners that are up in commemoration that would technically be in conflict with our sign ordinance. However, council does have the power in order to, for whether it's for a nonprofit, it's located in the city, and to servants to allow that those banners to stay longer than the 2 weeks that is allowed in our ordinance. And they're hoping that this can stay through November. And as they will also follow anything about the maintenance agreement, et cetera, to make sure that if they start to become in disrepair, they repair them or they remove them.
Very good. Any comments or questions from council for manager? If not, this item is up for council action. Councilwoman Germaini.
I'll move to approve the proposed resolution for the Sisters Servants of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, IHM Sisters, commemorating their 180th anniversary and Founder's Day celebration.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Germaini, supported by Councilman Steelgrave on item 5459, the proposed resolution for the Sisters Servants of Immaculate Heart of Mary. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vining,
Yes.
Germaini,
Yes.
Stringham,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Hader,
Yes.
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is item 5471, resolution to approve redevelopment liquor license application of WC Slicker and Associates, Inc.
Thank you. Manager Robinson, introduction. I know we've just had this previously, I think.
Your Honor, this did come before council back in 2022, as back at that period of time, WC Slicker and Associates had approached the city to seek a redevelopment liquor license application that we approved. And he had purchased the property. He has done major renovations to the upper floors of the building that were remodeled into quality apartment units. And he's now looking to continue his investment with his business partners to develop a high-quality restaurant establishment on the first floor, in which he is seeking a redevelopment liquor license. As there are no current liquor licenses available based on our quota, but the state of Michigan and the Liquor Control has allowed for redevelopment licenses. That means that there is at least $75,000 that has been invested in that building as it owned by the owners, and at least $200,000 that has been used or that has been developed in that district, which would be our DDA district, which that also has. So as we have reviewed the application, we have preliminary determined that it meets all the necessary requirements. I know that there was an issue that why he didn't continue in 2022. I think it was a personal issue or a family issue. And at some point now he is back on track, and he is resubmitted for this license. And I'm pretty excited to see what restaurant he will bring there.
You know, including being within the Downtown Development Authority District, it's also in the Central Business District, so it's down in the very core of the downtown. So, any questions or comments from council regarding this item for Mr. Robinson? Seeing Councilman Hader.
Yep, Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution approving and recommending that the Michigan Liquor Control Commission issue an on-premise liquor license to WC Slicker and Associates, Inc., pursuant to Public Act 501 and 2006, granted WC Slicker and Associates meet all requirements established by the state.
Motion by Councilman Hader, supported by Councilwoman Germaini on item 5471, the resolution to approve redevelopment liquor license application for WC Slicker and Associates, Inc. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Vining,
Yes.
Germaini,
Yes.
Stringham, Felder,
Yes.
Hader, Stillgrave,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Next item, please.
Next item is item 5470, acceptance of event center feasibility and market analysis proposal from Hunden Partners.
Manager Robinson.
Yes, Your Honor, this is a feasibility and market analysis that we would like to have conducted on our event center at the National Battlefield. It's a feasibility and market analysis that council had asked us when we were doing our strategic planning sessions. And I'd like to allow Director Cochran in order to kind of expand on what this and how we came about for this feasibility and market proposal.
Mr. Cochran.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, Clerk Treasurer Lavoy. So as the city manager indicated, following our work session that we had with city council on Saturday, March 1st, to talk about your established goals and objectives and progress toward them, one of the directions that you gave us was to continue our exploration of the South Event Center or South Arena at the Battlefield Education Center. Throughout the course of this year, council has done several action items pertaining to the leases and the operations of that building. First, previously, the River Raisin National Battlefield Park Foundation had leased the entire facility, and they had agreements with the National Park Service and the Explore Monroe, or the Convention and Visitors Bureau for Monroe County. Throughout the course of the past year, we've revised those leases where the National Park Service now has their own lease, since the city now owns the building, not the Monroe Building Authority. And then we have independently approved a lease with the Tourism Bureau, and then also the Battlefield Foundation, where they lease primarily the front of the building and also the education center, and the city retains ownership of the South Event Center. Previously, in August, you approved an operations agreement with the Battlefield Foundation for them to continue to operate and manage the event center, including the marketing of that facility, entertaining possible renters of the facility. And they've done a good job with the resources and the capacity that they have. But at the March 1st meeting, we had talked about doing a market analysis to determine, before we consider investments in that South Arena, that we know are needed to be a viable large event center like acoustics and like commercial kitchen or catering kitchen. Before we make that decision, we need to have a better idea of whether the market supports such a facility. We certainly have an idea that it does, based on some of the activities that have happened there in the past 2 years, including the state robotics competition, the Bassmasters tournament, and others. But the intent is to look at the facility, to determine what we need to do with it, and if there is a market for it, what kind of revenue could we generate? Because the idea is any revenue that's generated from that event center would go into the long-term maintenance and sustainability of that program or that building. And so we had reached out to several different firms that do these reports and studies for different communities and different entities across the country, and we did receive 2 proposals back. And the one that we're recommending for City Council to award is Hunden Partners. A couple different things about their proposal that stood out most to us. Back when the city had decided to explore alternative uses for the building, they had developed a report for the City Council that laid out some alternative uses when that decision-making process was underway. So they have a lot of familiarity both with our community, but also with the facility overall. And then, rather than just explore data, Hunden Partners does intend, as you see if you read their proposal or in the fact sheet, they will do a lot of data research in terms of historical reports. And then also, the Battlefield Foundation has done a great job of keeping research in terms of who has wanted to use the facility and we didn't meet their needs, what were the reasons, who has used it, what sort of feedback have we gotten. And they will also look not just in Monroe County, but regionally, because when we think about things like the state robotics competition or the Bassmasters tournament and other statewide or national organizations who have rented that facility, what is the demand for something like that? Are we oversaturated? Is there a need for it? And then we can come back and bring that report to City Council to make a determination of which direction we want to go for in the long term regarding that facility. They also plan to do a lot of interviews and stakeholder outreach with potential event planners, and then also organizations throughout the state and the region who work to draw in large events to examine the facility and determine whether Monroe is situated appropriately, including things like hotel rooms. Do we have enough hotel rooms for large events? Thinking about trade shows and conventions and those things. So to help us make a better informed decision of the future of that facility, Hunden Partners we're proposing would be the partner to help guide us through that. It would take about 12 weeks. So in about 12 weeks, we'll be back before City Council with the findings of that report, as well as a recommendation. Keep in mind, a recommendation could very well be that there is not a market to support an event center or wouldn't support financially the building like we hope. And at that point, we'll have another conversation to have if we're in that case of what we do with that, the south part of that building. So all of this to say we're recommending Hund and Partners move forward with the process to have a better idea of the data on a much larger scale.
Any questions for Mr. Cochran from council? Any questions from his review? Very well. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Any other comments from council or discussion? If not, this item is, Councilwoman Stringham.
I'd like to move to award a proposal to Hund and Partners to conduct a feasibility and market analysis for the event center at the River Raisin National Battlefield Park Education Center in a total amount not to exceed $56,500, and authorizes Assistant City Manager, Economic and Community Development Director to execute the necessary agreements on behalf of the city.
Motion by Councilwoman Stringham, supported by Councilwoman Steelgrave on item 5470, acceptance of the event center feasibility and market analysis proposal from Hund Partners. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Vining?
Yes.
Germaine?
Yes.
Stringham?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Hader? Steelgrave?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes.
The next item is item 5468, proposed ordinance 25-007, up for its first reading.
Manager Robinson.
Yes, Your Honor, as we've been going over, we've had a lot of council action on this over the last several meetings, and it became the procurement of the property from the county with a lease agreement for parking, et cetera. And now we're to the point where we are proposing ordinance, and this would be the first reading of the ordinance for this property, as council would have the opportunity to allow for a pilot program for the 75 Scott Street, and Director Cochran is ready to go a little deeper into what the pilot really means.
Thank you. Cochran, once it fires up.
Change my display quick. Okay, thank you for your patience. This has been, as the city manager indicated, we've had a lot of discussions about the future of the redevelopment of the fire station site. At the last council meeting, you heard from Woda Cooper. The city had put out a request for proposals across the state for development partners for a new development on the fire station site to reactivate it, put it back on the tax rolls for the benefit of the city overall. And we did receive one proposal back, and that was from Woda Cooper. So you heard a bit about their proposed program at the last meeting to look at a new residential development with 46 residential units. And this is a program that would be supported by MISTA through housing tax credits. It's called the LIHTC program. And so we wanted to explain a little bit more about what that means. One of the things that they mentioned at the last meeting was that there would have to be a pilot agreement between the city and the developer, Woda Cooper. The pilot agreement is a payment in lieu of taxes. So rather than send them a regular tax bill, as we do most other properties in the city, they would make an annual payment to us based on a percentage of the income that is received from the rent for those units. We have several of these across the city already, including Norman Towers, Woodcraft Square, and several others. And so we wanted to walk you through a little bit what this means for the city financially as you consider this. There's no action being taken tonight. All we're doing is holding the first reading with the intended action to take place at the September 29th special council meeting. And so on your desk tonight, so that you didn't have to stare at the small screen in front of you, I did try and print it out large for you. But we did some calculations. And I would remind everybody that these are just estimates. So although they're down to the penny, these are solely just estimates based on the information that we have at this point. So typically, with the pilot agreement, the developer will propose a certain percentage amount for the agreement that is based on the annual rental income that they receive. So a certain percentage of that they would have to certify to the city, and then that would be their invoice that they pay. Woda Cooper originally proposed 4%, and we took a look at some of the other pilot agreements that we have across the city, as well as what other agreements they have with other communities across the region where they work, and generally they were between 6 and 10%. And so we had some conversation with them, and to walk you through this, in the upper left-hand corner, where it says rent revenue at 100% occupancy, you see that we do have a range there. So these are just estimates, and I can blow it up a little bit bigger. So the proposal is for 24 one-bedroom apartments and 22 two-bedroom apartments. And you can see based on the monthly rent that they would receive times 12, what the minimum and the maximum, because again, it's based on a certain percentage of the resident's income. So some may be 80% average median income, some may be 100% average median income. And so that PGI number is the potential gross income for the developer for all 46 units. And then there's always an assumption that some of the units may be vacant throughout the course of the year that they may not collect revenue from due to residents in transition or other reasons. So we deduct 5% for that. And then the way that the state law is written, we talk about removing, this is after expenses are paid. So the developer will pay the electricity, the water, and the sewer and gas for the building. So we remove 6% of that to have the net operating income that you see in row 10, which is a range of about $277,000 to $560,000 roundabout. And so with that information, we took those calculations and we looked at what would the annual taxable value of a property be without the pilot, so that we have a better understanding of what the situation would be. So you can see a minimum and a maximum ranges between a taxable value of about $2 million to about $4 million, with calculating all of our mills that we assess properties with. For an annual about 62.5 mills would mean an annual tax bill of about $123,000 to $250,000 range. Of that portion, the city's tax millage that we assess is about 35% of somebody's tax bill. So of that $123,000, the city would receive about $43,000 to $86,000 in general without a pilot. Make sense so far? Okay. So what we did then was we took the 4% that they proposed and we calculated based on that net operating income number above of about $277,000 to $560,000. 4% of that would be a minimum between $11,000 and $22,000 estimated. Out of that, with a pilot agreement, when we receive those funds, we would disperse them among the taxing jurisdictions, just like we do every other tax bill. So the city's millages, the county millages, the state millages, the city's portion, again, of that 11 to 22,000 would be about $38,000 to $7,800 annually that we would receive in taxable or payment in lieu of taxes. And then one of the things that we did negotiate was a 2% addition onto that. So in addition to the payment in lieu of taxes, the city can charge what's called a municipal services agreement. And we would keep 100% of those funds. And the municipal services agreement are intended to help us recoup the costs that we incur by supporting that development in our city, primarily police, fire, emergency response, and every other city service that we provide. So again, 4% would be dispersed among all the taxing jurisdictions, and then we asked for, and they were agreeable to, an additional 2%, of which the city will keep 100% of, for a total percentage of rent income of 6%. So they started at 4, we had some discussion back and forth, and we landed at a recommendation for 6%. So at all of that, our estimated income would be about $4,000 to $8,200. Again, these are only estimates. They could always go up or down. And this is every year. So if rents go up, then that amount would go up, because again, it's the percentage of what they receive in rental income. And so we did break that down per unit to be about $89 or $180 per unit that we would receive, so per resident. And then in full transparency, one of the things that we did as well is we looked at, okay, what was the amount that we would receive without a pilot, and what would we receive with a pilot, and what is the difference? And so you can see it's about 39,000 to about 78,000 and a half that would be the difference. So one of the things that we need to think about, though, is this property has not been on the tax rolls in a very long time, so we haven't received any revenue from it. One of City Council's goals and objectives that you've heavily focused on is residential development. And so we have the opportunity for 46 affordable residential units in our downtown that would support downtown, and the proximity to it being close to essential services like the transit stop downtown, but also the restaurants, the shops, and the other amenities within walking distance that would support this development. And so we also looked at the fact we received one proposal back. And then also, again, the reputation with Woda Cooper that we talked about at the last meeting, where they hold on to these long-term and they take care of them long-term, and their maintenance is their maintenance standards are very high. And this was verified through reference checks that we did with other communities in which they operate, that they've been a very good partner in development. And so while there is some potential lost revenue, I would say, with that abatement, still the value that we get, the income that we're going to receive through a pilot agreement and that municipal services agreement on property that we haven't received anything on, in addition to 46 new residential units in the city, we are recommending moving forward with the opportunity. So tonight, it was just an introduction of the ordinance. A couple provisions in addition to that percentage being 6% total. It is for a term of 20 years with the option, council has the sole option to extend it another 20 years if you would like. And so that's in the proposed ordinance as well. So.
Any questions from council? Any questions from council for Mr. Cochran? I know it's a lot of data, a lot of information. As he said, this is the first reading. It'll come back at the next
29th.
September, yeah.
29th. Our special meeting will come back at that for a second reading, public comment at that time as well. Public hearing, I should say. We always take public comment at the end of meetings. But if there's any questions now. Andrew? I'm sorry, Councilman Felder?
Thank you for the presentation, Director Cochran. I'm trying to follow the math here. We talked about a 4%. It got bumped to a 6%. Is that the 4% plus the 2% admin fee?
Yes, sir. Yep. So 4% will get spread out to all the taxing jurisdictions, including the schools, the county, and the state, and the city, which we equate about 35% of that total amount that we would receive. So of that 11,066.63 or 22,330, the amount that we would keep after dispersing it to all the taxing jurisdictions is that city portion figure that says approximately 35%. And then we add the additional 2% that we keep 100% of.
Yeah. I think that's what I'm struggling with. The city share of the 4% is $3,800.
Correct.
$3,900.
Yep.
The 2% additional, which should be half again as much, is $220. Shouldn't it be like $2,000?
So that it would be 2% of 11,066, which is 221.33.
So it's 2% of the 4%?
Yes.
So it's
Sorry.
not 6%?
Correct. That's a good point. So it's 2%, 2% of the 4%, not 2% of the 35%.
What is that, 4.08% or something? I don't know, I can't math. 4
make
plus a little. Okay. So we're looking at about 1/11 the tax revenue for what we would get from a traditional property. Now, I understand that we've been looking at developing this site for a long time. It checks a lot of the boxes for many of the housing objectives that we have for the city, and there's other, I think, benefits that we see in having that property developed and off the city's burden and back onto the tax rolls, as you suggest. I know that when we were reviewing the Spire Development Project, which was also a pilot LIHTC combination project, we were looking at in trying to square that circle as well as the city was discussing it. As you mentioned, this has been a priority for some time. So it's good information to have. Thank you for laying everything out for us. I appreciate it.
We wanted you to have all the information to make an informed decision.
And for council and others that are either here or watching, if there's questions about that over this period of time before it comes back for the second reading and public hearing, you're more than welcome to make contact with the administration, either Manager Robinson or Economic Development Director, Mr. Cochran, here at the city, if there's some clarity or things you may have questions on. I just want to follow to Councilman Feller's comment about the Spire Group before, and somebody we were close to something there at one time, but here we are several years later, and it's still in the same ownership of the city. It's now cleared site and some partnerships with the county to acquire the entire parcel that allows, in partnership with some parking, I'll say transfers for them and their employees. But so it's been through a variety of phases here that we've talked about. And as Councilman Feller said, it, one of our priorities and items, particularly the last year of this term, which concludes this year, is housing. And we have a variety of housing projects that are either started or in the process, this being one of them. Over at the Mason Run, there's been infill housing that's been going on here for months now, the last several months, with a developer that was looking to do the vacant lots. And if anybody wants to see those, they're in the process. I just drove by here last week, and there's another hole dug for the foundation for the next one. So they have intentions of completing the Mason Run subdivision, which is, and I'll say those properties, by seeing the signs, are really cost effective in relation to what the return is. They also have interest in moving forward. When we talk about the 20 plus acres north of there, we're getting contacts from developers that are looking for that for housing as well. I'll also talk about our local partners and friends that have started a nonprofit, but they started as a company, and they are building here and working toward 6 units. I know that there's another person who's here this evening in the council chambers who also is developing a parcel in related to housing. And then we have the lot that we've talked about for years at La Pleasance in Kentucky. And that changed from a kind of a shared a multi-unit senior home housing. And unfortunately, COVID came and that kind of ended that, but they're back and they're looking now to develop kind of a single family houses in that style. So there's many aspects of the housing that we've been trying to, I'll say, procure, tackle, and get developed. It's been long coming, but this is just one of those. It's one of those that fits within the puzzle of the types, in my opinion, and attainable housing from one spectrum to the other. And just because it's a pilot or LIHTC doesn't mean that it's looked at differently. It's looked at the needs of people that are looking for housing. Just like seniors are transitioning from their 2-story homes, now they're going to be looking for something that's a little more accommodating and downsizing. So that's important, and hopefully those homes will also come value. I know I'm kind of going on before on this topic, but I think about if anybody has wants some additional information, I don't have the date off the top of my head, but we had a public or a council meeting, a work session that Woda Cooper, which is the company, did a presentation in as far as what they look like, what they would do, and how they manage their properties. So for those that might have an interest, to look back to that date, and I'll have to, it's been at least a couple meetings ago, I believe.
Yep, September 1st.
September, thank you. September 1st, that can be gone back and looked at on YouTube for this council meeting to see that type of work they do. But I also say if there's comments either later this evening, we're obviously in public comment, we'll hear it, but also if there's things that people have, they should contact the city manager or Mr. Cochran. So that's my comments to this. I just know that we're going to have some opportunities to have further discussion between now and the next meeting on the 29th. Councilwoman Germaini. Oh, I thought you had your hand. I'm sorry. Councilwoman Stilgrave.
Okay, I'm gonna move to place a proposed ordinance 25-007 on the floor for its first reading and recommending that the second reading and public hearing be set for September 29th, 2025 at a special meeting of City Council.
Motion by Councilman Stilgrave, supported by Councilwoman Germaini on item 5468, first reading of ordinance 25-007, payment in lieu of taxes for 75 Scott Street redevelopment. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Vining. Germaini.
Yes.
Stringham. Felder. Hayter. Stilgrave.
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Just as a comment, and Mr. Cochran, maybe just to confirm, if I recall as we look through this, and maybe it's more appropriate for the next item, but there, I'll wait. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna read the item.
Okay, I'm
read it.
sorry.
No, that's okay.
You're right. I'm
That's
getting ahead of
okay.
you. Thank you.
City of Monroe Ordinance 25-007, Chapter 528, Property Tax Exemptions. An ordinance to amend Chapter 528, Property Tax Exemptions of the Code of the City of Monroe to add Article 3, 75 Scott Street Tax Exemption to provide for a service charge in lieu of taxes for a housing project for income-eligible persons and families to be financed utilizing the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program pursuant to the provisions of the State Housing Development Authority Act of 1966, 1966 Public Act 346 as amended, MCL 125.1401, the Act.
Thank you, Clerk Lavoy, and I
You're welcome.
apologize.
No, I just didn't want us to get too far down the
No,
road.
we have to
so.
read it, and that's important. Everybody understands it. My apologies. Next item.
So the next item is item 5467. It proposed ordinance 25-006 for Scott Street Planned Unit Development Amendment is up for its first reading.
Manager Robinson?
Regarding the same property, the same complex, there is something that we will have to, we took in front of the Citizens Planning Commission, and it is something that we would have to do with the planned unit development design standards. There'll be some changes, and I'll let Director Cochran explain on those further.
Mr. Cochran?
Thank you, Mr. Robinson, Mayor Clark. So back in 2022, City Council approved the PUD rezoning for the properties as well as the design standards for the properties. If you'll recall, we were in discussions with a particular developer at that time who was proposing a different format with a multi-story commercial unit at the corner as well as townhouses, and due to circumstances beyond our control, they decided to go in a different direction. And so with our ongoing discussions with other developers, the design standards for the property at the time were very heavily focused on that particular design. And so with the proposed site plan or the preliminary plan that you saw when Woda Cooper was here on September 1st, in order to receive preliminary approval, we have to make some amendments to the design standards, and that's what's before you this evening. And so the changes that are proposed are in your packet this evening. As the city manager indicated, these were part of a public hearing as well as a recommendation of approval by the Planning Commission last week. And a copy of their transmittal letter is in your packet this evening. They did recommend approval. And so the changes that are recommended for the PUD design standards, you'll note are in section 2 with parking to align with some of the changes City Council recently made to our zoning code, reducing that from 1.5 parking spaces per unit to 1 parking space per unit. And that's in line with all of our other parking standards for residential across the entire city. And you'll note when they did have their preliminary design in plan at the last meeting, it did include on-site parking and sufficient enough on-site parking for all of the residents contained on the site behind the buildings. And so they're recognized this proposed change. And then also, under Section 4, Design Standards, under residential or commercial building design materials, we did remove EFS as an approved material. For those who are unaware, this is something that we prohibit in our zoning code already. This is the fake stucco that you see sometimes on commercial properties. It's not a material that's recommended for northern climates due to ongoing maintenance concerns as well as structural concerns. So we don't allow it anywhere else in the city. And so in order to ensure a high quality design for this development, we are recommending removing that from the design standards for this development as well. And then the final change under the next section, residential architectural design, is to require the first floor unit of a multifamily development to have a front door, porch, stoop, or other architectural features to provide a relationship with the street. And so this is intended, rather than have one common entrance for the whole development, every unit on the first floor of the building, and this was reflected in the design that you saw on September 1st, every unit will have its own separate entrance with a porch with access to the sidewalk and street. And so we're updating, we feel that provides the high quality design standards that we would expect from any development, and so we're recommending approving the design standards with that change. So those are the three changes recommended to the overall standards that you previously approved.
Thank you. Any questions from council for Mr. Cochran on this? This is where I got ahead of myself last time because you covered in fashion of the PUD and the development and the sites. This was it turns as it's through those partnerships, is 3 parcels that are being combined to achieve the development from different, that's what the PUD does, collectively puts those into one segment.
Correct.
Are there any questions from council? If not, this item's to be for the first reading and the second reading and public hearing to come. Councilwoman Germain?
I'm going to move to approve the resolution to establish the Downtown Commercial Property Rehabilitation District. Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong one. Wrong one. How about 5467? How about I move to place proposed ordinance 25-006 on the floor for its first reading and recommending that the second reading and public hearing be set for the September 29th, 2025 at the special meeting of City Council.
Support.
Motion by Councilwoman Germain, supported by Councilwoman Stringham. Item 5467, the first reading for Scott Street Planned Unit Development Amendment. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Biden? Jermaine?
Yes.
Stringham? Yes. Felder? Yes. Hayter? Yes. Stillgrave? Yes. Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Ordinance 25-006, Scott Street Planned Unit Development District. An ordinance to amend the Scott Street Planned Unit Development District design standards of the Code of the City of Monroe.
Thank you. Next item.
The next item is item 5465, resolution to establish downtown commercial property rehabilitation district.
Manager Robinson, comments?
Yes, Your Honor, not really many more comments other that I didn't give during the public hearing section. I think we all understand. And this will be the second reading, as well as our seeking approval to go ahead and put this into place. And available for any questions, should anybody have any.
1 second. Gotta look at my notes. So we have to add the public hearing at this point that we talked about earlier, correct? And then the second reading.
We had the public hearing, though.
That's right, earlier. I'm sorry.
So you're good. We usually do add it at council action, but we're good.
We took care of that.
Yeah, we took
under
care of it.
public hearings versus the action item, because when it gets added, when items get added to the agenda, they come to the end, but not in this case because it was a public hearing. Thank you both. So this item, we had no public comments, but it's up for the resolution. Councilwoman Stringham.
I'll move to approve the resolution to establish the Downtown Commercial Property Rehabilitation District.
Motion by Councilwoman Stringham, supported by Councilman Hayter on item 5465, resolution to establish downtown commercial property rehabilitation district. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine? Stringham? Felder?
Yes.
Hayter? Stilgrave? Mayor Clark?
No further actions. We'll move on to the council comments. Councilwoman Vining.
Your Honor, I had a question. It just came to mind when we were discussing housing. Maybe Mr. Cochran can answer it for me. If I may ask.
See if maybe the manager has it, but go ahead.
Manager, about the old Nick Costello's building located on 3rd and Winchester. I was just trying to get some clarity because I thought it was on the demolition list, but now I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question, Councilwoman, because I know that we've monitored that and other properties along the way. So I don't know if Manager Robinson has the answer, if he'd like Mr. Cochran.
Go ahead.
Yes, that property was posted for demolition, and the county treasurer actually received a grant through the state of Michigan to help with blight remediation. And so they have been working with the property owner to use those funds to complete the demolition rather than the city moving forward with the demolition and billing the property owner. So the county treasurer has been working on executing the demolition on that.
Okay. That's all I have for this evening, Your
All right,
Honor.
thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Germaine.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mark, can we get an update, not today, but in a couple meetings perhaps, about the old Lazy Boy development? We haven't heard anything, any updates in a while. Other than that, I'm happy that 7th Street is open because it was down for 3 weeks, and I go that way to work every day. And tomorrow from 4 to 6 at the community college, there's a Chalk and Hive tour in the cafeteria. It's free. If you want to learn about bees and honey, go and learn about the bees and honey. That's all.
Thank you. I know that, I think it was a meeting ago or two, we had a conversation with the manager about our upcoming work sessions and updates. I don't have the list in front of me, but if that's not on there, I think it's appropriate that that be added as we work our way through the year here for our work sessions prior to the council meetings and just for those updates. And if council members have other thoughts, as we get, maybe manager, if you could send a kind of just a, I know you did last time, here's the items upcoming you can expect. And that way council may want to share back with you something of interest. We only have so many weeks that remain within the year, but that doesn't mean we can't knock off a few of them at the same time too. I know some are in development for additional information and analysis, but those that we can move forward with.
Sure.
Very good, thank you. Councilwoman Stringham.
I would like to just do a shout out for the Michigan Wine and Beer Portal had their craft distillery festival this weekend. It's my understanding that 600 people attended. The DDA and the Tourism Bureau provided support, so thank you to those entities. And the nonprofits they were able to participate and earn money for their nonprofits. So I think it's great to see local businesses bringing in people to our downtown and having successful events like that. Also, tomorrow night is the line dancing nights at St. Mary's Park. So enjoy this beautiful weather while we have it because it's going to be winter soon.
It's just having it come soon. I'm like, I want fall. But Councilman Felder.
Yes. Yes, autumn is coming right around the corner if it isn't here already. So it's that's wonderful. I know that I had brought it up with the administration. We can visit it down the road in the future, but if we could come up with an alternative access method at the nub of Alford as it goes into Munson Park from the Cranbrook Estates neighborhood. Right now we have a chain link gate that's chained together. And I just think that we can probably do better in terms of access with all the hundreds of thousands of dollars that we are investing into non-motorized transportation across the city. We need to be able to allow for access between our neighborhoods and our parks. But I leave it to the administration and look forward to an update.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, I was thinking capital improvements, but that requires a dollar amount and 5 years of service. It might fall within that. If not, they find beforehand, we'll make sure we have to bring that back in those
Can be
conversations.
open-minded moving forward.
However we get there, right?
Yeah.
All right. Councilman Hayter.
I have nothing this week.
Woman Steelgrave.
Thank you. Saturday night from 5 to 9 is the Craft Beer Fest downtown Monroe, and that's usually a pretty good time. I also want to kind of thank everybody for packing their patience during all this traffic that we have going through our city and everywhere else. And it's a result of MDOT. You know, they're doing a lot of construction, and there's more to come. So I just, we just really have to pack our patience and be kind to people. So I just want to bring that up for the future. Thank you.
I have a few comments, just items on the calendar, I think, that are coming up for those that might have interest or availability. This Saturday on September 20th is the RCA Shop and Show event from 4 to 6 p.m. There at the RCA, and I'm sure it's available on their website. And he's looking like maybe it's not, but no, it's not. So we'll scratch that one. So I should have asked some people these things. Well, I believe on Saturday the 27th, the Raw event is going to occur in downtown Lawrence Square. Of course, that's Recovery Advocacy Warriors. And it's a messaging and it's a community service related to education, awareness, and support for those that are struggling through those times. And it's not necessarily those that have are recovering, but it's also the families and the friends that may be assisting somebody. But they have a event coming on the 27th. On Sunday, September 28th, the bed race for children is in downtown Lawrence Square, and they have the beds that they race and have different nonprofits. I see somebody raising their hands in the back that they'll be probably cheering along one of those beds. But that's it's at noon, and it goes. It's a lot of fun. Raises money so they can acquire beds for children. Another great opportunity. I think that's the only ones I have at this point. Clerk Lavoie.
Just want to remind everyone that the I Voted sticker contest still has a couple more weeks. That's due September 28th. And if you have any questions, just call the clerk's office, or there's information online as well. And that's all I have.
Manager Rouse, before I come to you, there was one thing that I wanted to mention at the last meeting that I had neglected to do so, and I thought about it again when I saw a couple of the ladies. So on Labor Day, I found it was interesting as I was driving across the Rossler, or I was kind of walking across the Rossler Bridge. And I looked across the other side, and it was a group of about 12 to 14 ladies, and they were doing their Labor Day walk of the Rossler Bridge. Many of them had walked the Labor Day Bridge over the on the Mackinac Bridge, and of course they're not able to get there at this time in their life, and they were recruiting other people that obviously it might have been their first walks. So I'm just saying that I thought it was pretty interesting, and I could see this potentially growing into an event of City of Monroe Rossler Bridge Walk on Labor Day. I have talked to one of the ladies already. I happened to see her yesterday, and I stopped, and I have a contact, and I'm thinking, how great for a community event for those of us that can't go there, but bring the community together. And always there's ways in which it can be done, well, with or without closing the street for a short period of time. But of course, right there is where, by the water tower in the open park. And I think we could turn this into a community Labor Day event, and we'll walk the Rossler Bridge and then have fun afterwards. I think how it would benefit the residents at the Rossler Street Towers. They're the high rise. And I think it would be a great community event. I don't know. We'll see what she can bring back for us for next Labor Day. I forgot to say that last meeting. Manager Robinson.
Well, everybody's comments about autumn and fall and everything, big question that's coming up to everybody is, where's the leaf bags? Well,
That's right.
leaf bags, that starts on Saturday, October 4th. It'll be the first 2 Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. You could pick them up at DPS on Jones Avenue. And then every week through October, beginning on October 7th, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, you can go to the DPS between 2:30 and 5:30 p.m. and be able to get your bags. There's 50 bags per parcel, and they're for city residents only, and you will have to show ID showing that you're a city resident in order to receive the leaf bags.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
So at this time, we have citizens' comments or public comments. If there's anybody that wishes to make comments this evening, we'd ask you just please come to the podium, state your name, your jurisdiction of residence, and mindful of the time of 3 minutes. Any comments from those present? Yeah, please come forward, sir.
Thank you. Dale DeSlover, 211 North Macomb Street. I know this is an item that you're probably all aware of. I just wanted to bring my thoughts and maybe a solution to this issue. I'm a member of First Presbyterian Church, and I'm sure everybody knows that we have a number of city residents that are sleeping on the steps and living on the steps and outside. You know, I realized during COVID that we really need to do better with public restrooms. I've been looking at a type of restroom. It's called a Portland loo. It's made in Portland, Oregon. It's not cheap, but it's made to very, very, very high standards. And I think the city of Monroe, the county of Monroe, need to look at having some Portland loos available. I think everybody during COVID realized you couldn't just pull into McDonald's and go to the bathroom. Just a couple weeks ago, I walked between the church and the library. The church property is right at the church wall. There's none of that grass out there belongs to the church. So it either belongs to the county, or if it's a library, it's the city's property. So just right between the church and the library, somebody had to go to the bathroom, and they did. And it happens quite a bit over there. And so I don't know whose job it is, if it's the city's job to clean that up because they own the library, if it's the library's job, if it's the county's job, or whatever. But I know this church has asked if we could put a porta-john in our parking lot, and they were told no, because of city regulations, you can't put a porta-john in your parking lot. There's probably a time duration there that you can only do it for a festival or whatever, but we have to do better. You know, nobody wants to go between two buildings, pull down their pants and go to the bathroom. And it happens routinely right over there. And I'm not saying we don't want those people. I'm not saying kick them out. I'm saying we have to do better. We have to give them a place to go to the bathroom when they have to go to the bathroom. Thank you. Portland Lou. It's about $100,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments from those present here this evening? Comments for council? Seeing none. Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion from Councilman Hayter, supported by Councilman Felder to adjourn. Clerk, please call the roll.
Jermaine? Yes. Stringham? Yes. Felder?
Yes.
Hayter? Stilgrave? Mayor Clark?
Yes. And thank you.